In Operation Midnight Hammer, 125 U.S. military aircraft attacked Iran's nuclear facilities Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan. On June 21, 2025, at around 2 p.m., 7 B-2 Spirit bombers from the Mediterranean Sea entered Iran via Israel and Iraq and attacked Iran's nuclear sites. After these attacks, the entire world's attention was on Iran's countermeasures. More than 24 U.S. bases are present in the entire Middle East, and the threat was being expressed that Iran could target any of these bases. And then, 2 days later, the same thing happened. Iran attacked U.S. Al-Udeid Air Base in Qatar and Iraq's Ain al-Asad Air Base. But this was not the first attack on U.S. bases. Iran has also attacked U.S. bases and their assets many times in the past. And once, it even destroyed the entire U.S. warship. Let's know the 4 incidents of the past when Iran openly hurt the U.S. Welcome to the Zumar videos. Viewers, on January 3rd, 2020, the U.S. struck a drone at the Baghdad airport, killing Qasem Soleimani. He was not just a general in Iran, but also the most trusted man of the supreme leader Khamenei and the most powerful pawn of the Middle East chessboard. The news of his death has made Iran miserable, and now Iran has decided to take revenge. Where people thought that Iran would only make noise, Iran decided that this time, the answer would be straight from the missile. Iran openly threatened the US and said that America has killed our soldier Salar, now he will have to pay for it. Ain al-Assad Air Base is a very important base in the western region of Iraq. Only 6 days after the attack, on January 8, 2020, at 1:20 p.m., dozens of Fateh and Qayyam ballistic missiles were seen in the sky, and they hit the American airbase like fire. This attack by Iran was so targeted that these missiles targeted the fuel depot, aircraft shelters, and command posts with pinpoint accuracy. And the most surprising thing was that not a single missile was missed. America had already gained intelligence. The soldiers had gone to the bunker, but the missile damaged the base. Hangars, runways, barracks were all buried. At first, the US said that there was no casualty, but later it was found that more than 100 American soldiers had traumatic brain injuries. Their nervous system was shaken. Many soldiers were blinded by darkness, and many fainted. But Iran's bravery was seen by the world when Iran openly accepted the responsibility for this attack and said that it was just a warning. If it goes ahead, it will be a bigger attack. America initially tried to show the effects of these missile attacks as ordinary. Donald Trump, who was the president of the United States in his first tenure, tried to suppress the matter by saying all is well. But satellite images, soldiers' videos, and before and after visuals on the ground exposed everything. Iran also said at that time that if we wanted, we would have targeted the barracks of American soldiers. But our goal was not to kill, but to make them feel. After this attack, the world was shocked to see that Iran rained missiles on the American base openly, and from then on, America was making a silent spectacle. Even a year before this, there was an incident when Iran gave America an answer. During a peaceful night of June 2019, an American drone, the RQ-4 Global Hawk, worth Rs 6 trillion rupees, entered Iran's airspace. But in just 20 seconds, Iran turned this pride of America into fire. Something happened that in 2019, tensions between America and Iran had increased to a great extent. Even then, Donald Trump was the president of the United States, and he had imposed strict sanctions on Iran. He banned other countries from buying oil from Iran. Because of this, Iran's oil exports were almost zero. Because of these sanctions, Iran was not silent either. In the Persian Gulf, Iranian proxies were secretly attacking oil tankers' vessels. America decided to use a spy drone to spy on military movements in Iran. The US Navy's RQ-4 Global Hawk, an unmanned drone, entered Iran's coastal borders. The job of this drone was to keep an eye on every move of the enemy from the sky and inform the US command directly. This drone was flying at an altitude of 60,000 feet within Iran's borders, where the air defense system does not work. Iran locked and fired the drone, using its 7 Qasem missile system. It was not even in America's delusion that Iran's missile system would work up to 60,000 feet. The result was that the missile hit the center of the drone, and the sky shone with the light of fire over the Persian Gulf. According to Iran, this drone had entered within 15 kilometers of their coastal border, but the US said that the drone was in international airspace. At first, Trump threatened to conduct airstrikes on Iran, but no airstrikes were carried out. Now, let's go back to 1987. During the Iran-Iraq War, tensions in the Persian Gulf were very high. Iran was targeting Kuwaiti oil tankers in the Persian Gulf, which was the reason for the oil crisis in the world. This was the time when America launched Operation Earnest Will, in which US Navy warships protected Kuwaiti oil tankers and escorted them to the Arabian Sea. This operation, which lasted for a year, was the largest operation of the US naval convoy after World War II. But despite America's operation, tensions did not subside. Then America gave permission to reflag Kuwaiti oil tankers. That is, the Kuwaiti flag was removed from many of Kuwaiti tankers, and the American flag was waved. And then it was announced that if Iran attacked the American flagship, it would be considered an attack on America. Iran endured for a while. But then, on October 16, 1987, it could not be tolerated. MVC Al-City was such a Kuwaiti ship that was reflagged and made of America. Iran launched a Chinese-made soak bomb missile that hit the ship's bridge. It was a 3,000-kilogram subsonic missile that had the ability to hit the target up to 120 kilometers. At that time, there was no US Navy warship around this ship. Because Iran usually does not target a reflagged ship, this was the first attack on any American flagged ship by Iran. In this attack, 18 crew members were injured, and the captain of the ship, who was a US citizen, lost both of his eyes due to his injured face. Attacking the American flagged ship meant that Iran had challenged the confidence of the superpower. In return, the US Navy destroyed 2 Iranian oil platforms in the Persian Gulf 3 days later. At that time, these 2 oil platforms did not produce oil, but the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps used it for military purposes. Now let's know how Iran destroyed the US Navy warship. During Operation Earnest Will, Iran used a method to destroy oil tanker ships in the Persian Gulf, which also sunk a US Navy warship. Iranian naval forces laid a network of mines in the Persian Gulf. These mines did not float on water, because if they were on water, they could easily be bypassed. These mines were tied to a chain and anchored and thrown into the water by speedboats. The length of the chain was kept so that the mine floated 5 meters below the surface, because the solution to big ships is 10 meters below the surface. That is, the mine will only explode when a heavy ship passes over it. On April 14, 1988, during Operation Earnest Will, a guided missile warship of the US Navy, which was called USS Samuel B. Roberts, had just arrived to take part in the operation when it was struck by an Iranian contact mine in the Persian Gulf. The US Navy's ship's hull opened up to 21 inches. The engine room was filled with water, and 2 turbines were damaged. The $1,500 mine destroyed a $190 million ship. After this attack, the US Navy found a network of Iranian mines spread over the area. 4 days later, the US forces retaliated against Iran. US ships, aircrafts, and troops destroyed 2 Iranian oil platforms and an Iranian warship called the Iris Sahand. In this attack, a US Navy helicopter, while 2 pilots were killed. History has witnessed that since the end of the pro-American government in Iran, despite imposing various sanctions on Iran and harassing it deeply, they do not hesitate to retaliate against American superpowers. What is your opinion about this? Do let me know in the comments section. I hope you will like and share this video of the Zumar. See you in the next video.